No matter how hard you try, you can't stop us now.
It's available at Infowars.com, the deliberate dumbing down of America. It is full of graphics, photos, documents. You want the total proof, 100% proof of the scientific takeover of education. Charlotte, if I'm correct, it goes back to, what, Germany 200 years ago? In Prussia, kindergarten, they wanted people to regurgitate info, not to actually be taught a classical education of how to think and to learn the love of thought, but to be drones so that they could decide what slot in life you would fill. They wanted Hessian soldiers who would sacrifice themselves in war unquestioningly. So you're at the Department of Education. You start discovering these horrors. You have all the quotes in your book from them about how the family's a disease. They've got to get rid of it. I mean, this is literally the Borg takeover. Please continue.
Well, yes, the family and the country, nationality, any child who comes to school who believes in family and country and patriotism and et cetera is mentally ill. We have all these quotes. But there's a very good quote, because what we're really looking at, and of course they have to change the values, completely destroy any values that children have, religious or towards their country and all, and that's been sort of done, in case we wonder what's going on out in the street there with these sad-looking children and dropping out of school and all. That has been done. Now it's the refreezing, what you would call it, and the goal has been reached. And I just want to read, this is a new quote, Alex, that I found the other day. I give credit to a wonderful researcher who passed away recently, I guess, Jean Patton from Indiana. Brilliant. She was very good on English literature and all, and she wrote a little booklet. I can't remember the name of it right now, but this quote is in it, and it is from Woodrow Wilson. It's very important. This is when he was president of Princeton University, and addressed to the Federation of High School Teachers. And the quote was published in Consumer Advocates in the Classroom by Jean Patton, okay? Now, listen to this. It's better even than the Gates quote, you know, the Rockefeller one, the Southern Education Board, where they talked about, with the minorities and all, just we don't need doctors, lawyers, professors, et cetera, all of that. We just want to, have the happy down on the farm, huh? But this is even better. Here we go. This is Woodrow Wilson. This is before he was president. Quote, we want one class of persons to have a liberal education, and we want another class of persons, a very much larger class of necessity in every society, to forego the privilege of a liberal education and fit themselves to perform specific, difficult, manual tasks, end quote.
Wow.
That is dynamite. Now, that, folks, is exactly what's going in now. And let me point out to you, I had no idea when I got into the U.S. Department of Ed. I was a great fan of Ronald Reagan's, was, in quotes, huh? And when I got in there, I had no idea I was going to find this. I didn't know anything about school to work. I knew everything, I believe, about values clarification. I had even gone through Sidney Simon's values clarification, because I don't believe in talking about anything or writing about anything unless you've been through it. So I knew that the major goal in the 60s and 70s and into the 80s was to destroy our children's moral values. But I had no idea until I got into the Department of Ed, and Ronald Reagan promised to get rid of it, and he didn't on purpose. And if people think it was a mistake, it wasn't. He was not what people think. Anyway, I got in there and I started seeing all these things that led me to believe that they were focusing on workforce training. And then I got a hold of the Project BEST, Better Education Skills Through Technology, which is the computer curriculum, which is total Skinner, because Skinner said the computer was his box. And B.F. Skinner is the one who said I could make a pigeon, your child, a high achiever, by reinforcing it on a proper schedule. And the Secretary of Education right now, under Obama, has said that he believes in, well, they believe in merit pay. That's the same thing for the teachers. And for the students, he believes in paying them for good grades. Well, Skinner would love this. This is absolutely down his alley. Our whole country has been subjected and is being right now to Pavlov. In my own little town of Bath, Maine, 4 years ago, the police in the community-oriented policing system started passing out medals to citizens who they judged were doing good deeds.
Well, now, to interrupt, the New York Times has written a bunch of articles where the public school kids are given fake tickets to write their mother or father for taking a hot bath or for leaving the water running while they brush their teeth. They're openly turning our kids into spies.
Yep.
And the Drudge Report just went live with this. They're now having the TSA invade Walmart. We know Walmart's part of this big continuity of government takeover program to train the Walmart employees to be spies now. Stay there, Charlotte. Let's continue with what's going on in the public schools and how to stop them. Straight ahead. We'll be right back. The book was a #1 and has been #1 bestseller on the Barnes & Noble's list. #1 bestseller in the education department. This is cold-blooded what's happening, and we've got the last 800 of these books now going out of print, The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, available at Infowars.com. I'm very excited to see people pouring in to get them. Many places they are sold for more than $100 online. We're selling them for $39.95 against the size of a phone book. These are so important to have as a historical record and to fight this enemy operation, because Charlotte Iserbyt was the head of policy, Department of Education, and she was able to put their blueprint together in one place. Again, it's available at Infowars.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. You can also write to us at P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas, 78760. And look, their whole Copenhagen global tax has fallen apart. Their TSA takeover, which they now admit is a federal takeover of the streets of America and of all commerce, not just airlines. That's in trouble. When we stand up and say no, we can have an effect. Okay? So this is a great tool in that fight. Charlotte Iserbyt, please continue breaking down the new developments and the final nail in the coffin with the takeover of education and what their end game is.
Okay, well, the goal is to implement the international planned economy, and most of you know about that, using total quality management and all this and that. That's why the corporations are so deeply involved in our schools right now. And as I said, this started out when I was in my office, in the Office of Educational Research and Improvement. I saw that when Ronald Reagan set up an office in the White House for, it was called nice name, the Council for Private Sector Initiatives. My boss made a mistake sending me over to the White House as a liaison. So I went over and I just innocently said, I'm not highly educated, but when you merge the public and private sector, which is what it was all about, isn't that corporate fascism? And this lovely lady said, well, gee, I don't know whether anybody really thought of it that way. Well, they did. And that was exactly the beginning of this merger of the public and private sector, which the nicest thing you can call it is corporate fascism. But basically, it's socialism and it's communism, and it is a planned economy, and that is not the American way. Now, you can say, oh, well, that can't happen in our schools. Oh, yes, it can. It's happening through, they had to destroy the schools first to make them so horrible that parents and all would accept anything. And so they talk about school choice. It sounds so nice. That means parents are really happy. They're going to be able to put their child into a school that teaches the 3 R's and sound values. No, folks. The school choice is lethal. They're going to bring our country down and change our whole form of government and economic system through school choice and charter schools. Now, I know there are people out there who are really shocked because they're going to be saying, oh, well, my conservative, great conservative organization that I give money to, and the Heritage Foundation, all these American Conservative Union, and all these conservative groups support school choice. Well, folks, look, join the crowd with me. Can you imagine how dismayed I am? That's hardly the word. I thought I was a conservative. Now I don't know who hates me the most. I think the conservatives hate me more than the left, because at least the left tells the truth about what they're doing. We've counted on the conservatives to save us, to save our children, to save our schools, to save our country. No, don't count on them at all. You might do better counting on good teachers that are still left in the system and supporting them in stopping performance-based teacher education and stopping charter schools and insisting at the state level that you get into the education legislation and bring your schools back to the traditional K through 12, no workforce training like recommended by Woodrow-Wilson.
No political correct brainwashing where they spend all day teaching everybody,
absolutely,
how to...
No, teachers would be hired according to a lot about their background. You would interview them to find out, they're happily married, they have children, what are their values, etc. Do you want them in charge of your children? We would return our schools to what they used to be. And I can assure you there are many American teachers out there right now, as bad as you may think they all are, and some are, especially the young, have been so brainwashed. There seems to be only one way to go, and that is to try to work with the teachers in the public school system, believe it or not, and with the teachers union that is fighting the performance-based teacher education. Because if you don't do this, we've had it. I never thought I would get to the point where I would have to recommend that this is the only place to go, because I cannot find a single conservative organization in the country that is willing to admit that they are imposing a planned economy on us through school choice and charter
But that's
schools.
what Webster Tarpley wrote in his 3 books on Obama, that Obama's job was posing as a liberal and busting up Chicago schools, not to fix them, but to hand them over to Bill and Melinda Gates, who literally teach the kids that one-child policy is good, that humans are bad. They admit, even 2020, as you know, back in the early 90s reported, that when they brought death education in that you warned about, it teaches the kids how to commit suicide, and then suicide explodes. They bring in more death education, more drugs, suicide explodes, more Prozac, which causes suicide, suicide explodes. I mean, they are so diabolical, but the average grassroots person implementing this is compartmentalized and just goes ahead with the program, believing the label.
Well, that's right, but we're really far past that now. We've moved out of the values-destroying stuff. They've done their job, which is the unfreezing, right? And then they come in with the freezing, and the freezing is the workforce training, which will require no brain activity, because if you study Skinner, if you understand animal training,
briefly, hold on. Briefly explain to people Skinner. We got time here. Well, explain Skinner, and then explain freezing, unfreezing.
Well,